45 tells another lie, and of course it was immediately fact-checked after he told it. From Washington, this is with the deceptive of a video. 45 on Thursday hardly thanked the White House predecessor for supporting his policy at the Mexican border. Obama has showed no support for the funding of the border wall, only criticizing it. 45 also denied that he ever expected Mexico to make a direct payment for his border wall. Of course, he basically stated in his campaign before that Mexico was going to pay for it. Even his inbred redneck supporters actually kept chanting in the video, Mexico was going to pay. And of course, Mexico has stated that they're not going to pay for it. It says 45 also denied that he expected Mexico to make the direct payment. It says despite a call in a campaign policy paper for a one-time payment of $5 to $10 billion from Mexico in itself. Mexico says they're not paying for it in any way possible. And look at 45 statements Thursday as he traveled to Texas to make his case for what he calls a security and humanitarian crisis, a possible precursor to declaring a national emergency at the border. Obama's video, it says 45 claims that it says 45 said, "Thank you, Obama, thank you for great support. I have been saying this all along." And 45 also said Obama used to call it a crisis at the border. Two remarks before departing the White House for Texas. The facts. Obama's remarks in the short video do not support 45's proposal for a border wall or endorse the path Trump is considering, or 45 is considering now, declaring it a national emergency that might enable him to circumvent Congress and unilaterally spend money on the wall. Instead, Obama was asking Congress to approve an emergency appropriation deal to deal with a surge of tens of thousands of unaccompanied children and youths, mostly from Central America trying to cross the border from Mexico. We now have an actual humanitarian crisis on the border, Obama said at the time, accompanied by Vice President Joe Biden. He was referring specifically to the charge of minors that year. That crisis eventually eased as the U.S. stepped up border enforcement, surveillance, and resources for the waves of unaccompanied children. Now a sharp increase in the number of families at the border, coupled with the 45 administration, a hardline stance, is overwhelming border resources, worsening a backlog in the asylum system and leaving immigrants to live at missile conditions on the Mexican side. 45, however, has been unable to convince Congress that the border poses a national security risk. He has made a series of statements falsely claiming that terrorists are pouring in from Mexico, that a wall would choke off shipments of illicit drugs which actually come mainly through legal ports of entry, and that people who get in the country illegally commit a disproportionate share of violent crime. Late in his presidency, Obama was repeatedly critical of 45's immigration stance and the wall specifically. In May of 2016, for example, he said, suggesting that we can build an endless wall along our borders and blame our challenges on immigrants, that doesn't just run counter to our history as the world's melting pot. It contradicts the evidence that our growth and our innovation and our dynamism has always been spurred by our ability to attract strivers from every corner of the globe. Mexico and the wall. Let me get back to that again. 45 of Mexico paying for the wall. Never met they're going to write out a check, remarks before it departs to Texas. 45 also said Mexico is paying for the wall indirectly, and when I said Mexico would pay for the wall in front of thousands and thousands of people, obviously they're not going to write a check. 45 again, they're paying for the wall in a great trade deal, remarks in Texas. The facts. Now we get to the actual facts, which proves his lies here. Actually, a 45 campaign policy paper envisioned an explicit payment from Mexico. It's an easy decision for Mexico. Make a one-time payment somewhere between the range of $5 to $10 billion, the paper said. The plan also outlined various ways for 45 to compel Mexico to pay for the wall, such as by Washington cutting off billions of dollars in remittances sent back to Mexico by immigrants living in the U.S., or by recouping the money through the trade tariffs or higher visa fees, none of what has happened. Instead, 45 is arguing that the updated trade agreement with Canada and Mexico will pay for the wall because of economic benefits he predicts will come from the deal. Nothing in the trade agreement would cover or refund the construction cost or require payment from Mexico. Instead, he is assuming a wide variety of economic benefits will come from the agreement that can't be quantified or counted on. For example, he has said the deal will dissuade some U.S. companies from moving operations to Mexico, and the credits that possibility as a payment by Mexico. The agreement preserves the enlisting. The agreement preserves the existing liberalized environment of how low or no tariffs among the U.S., Mexico, and Canada, with certain improvements for each country. The deal has yet to be ratified in any member country, and there is no assurance it will win legislative approval. And actually, during this video that he did, he says who's going to pay for the wall, and all of a sudden you hear his inbred redneck fans chanting Mexico, and he's saying it's not to be taken literally. He meant Mexico to pay for that wall all along, but they're just not going to. Now, a couple more things I want to bring up before I end this video is the people that work in the government. Today was supposed to be their payday, and they're not getting their pay because of the government shutdown. Now these people that work for the government have applied for and they were trying not to do it, but some of the people have dug into their savings to try to pay for their bills, or they took on a second job that they know is going to pay them right now, and also a lot of them have filed for unemployment because of this government shutdown ongoing, because we don't know how long it's going to take for it to end. Another thing I want to bring up is that this company, it's a car company over in England, and it still affects people either way. They announced that they're going to lay off about 5,000 workers. So yeah, I think the company was called Land Rover or something. That was like some car company over in England called Land Rover, and they laid off about 5,000 workers or close to that. So yeah.